The autumn winds had barely given way to winter when the group, Anatoly, Boris, Dmitri, Ivan, Sergei, Mikhail, Pavel, Yuri, and Victor, assembled at the base of the Ural slopes. They were not strangers to hardship. Each had chased adventure into harsh, isolated places before. The promise of untouched snowscapes and the lure of the unknown beckoned them like a siren's call. Their spirits were high as they set off along a narrow, winding path. The landscape, at once majestic and forbidding, was painted in hues of icy blue and gray. As daylight waned, the first hints of an unseasonal fog crept in, cloaking the dense forest and jagged peaks. The group made camp near a ridge, setting up a modest tent against the howling wind, a temporary bastion against a wilderness that seemed determined to reclaim all that dared enter its realm. Over a shared meal of simple rations and tea, they exchanged stories of past adventures. Laughter mingled with the crunch of frost underfoot, and for a brief moment, the wild was a playground rather than a crypt. Yet as the stars emerged one by one in the clear, cold sky, an unspoken tension began to gnaw at their camaraderie. It was as if the darkness itself carried whispered warnings. Around midnight, a sound, a distant, eerie moan carried on the wind, stirred the campers. It was not the natural lament of the cold, nor the rustle of the pines in a storm. It was a cry, indistinct, yet laden with despair. One by one, the hikers awoke, their breaths coming out in visible puffs as they strained to listen. Anatoly, the de facto leader, motioned for silence. The group huddled together, their eyes scanning the impenetrable dark. Minutes felt like hours, and the unearthly sound persisted, intermingling with the creaking of the tent fabric. Then, in a moment of sheer terror, a forceful gust of wind shattered the thin barrier of their canvas shelter. The flap of the tent burst open as if pulled by invisible hands. In the chaos that ensued, panic overtook reason. One of the hikers, in a state of alarm, dashed into the night, his scream swallowed by the howling gale. The others, gripped by an instinctive dread, tore themselves from the safety of their sleeping bags. They stumbled out into the freezing dark, compelled to flee from a threat they could neither see nor understand. Under the pallid light of a half-hidden moon, the group dispersed into the wilderness. Footprints in the snow quickly became disoriented trails, vanishing into swirling drifts. In the midst of their frantic escape, Boris caught sight of something that froze him in his tracks. A figure standing motionless among the frosted birches, its form blurred as though viewed through a veil of falling snow. When he blinked, the figure was gone, leaving only the echo of silence and a lingering sense of foreboding. Dmitri and Ivan, huddled together against a rocky outcrop, began to hear soft whispers that seemed to emanate from the very earth beneath them. The words were unintelligible, yet carried a sorrowful urgency that sent shivers racing down their spines. Every step they took was punctuated by a growing realization. They were not alone. Elsewhere, Mikhail and Pavel found themselves inexplicably drawn toward a crevasse that yawned open like the maw of some ancient beast. In the darkness, the mouth of the crevasse seemed to breathe, exhaling a cold mist that blurred the line between the tangible and the spectral. As they peered into its depths, a sudden flash of pale, ghostly light illuminated the jagged walls, revealing fleeting shapes that vanished as quickly as they appeared. The horror of the night was compounded by the bone-deep cold that numbed not only their bodies, but also their minds. Memories of home and safety began to dissolve into the relentless, indifferent void. One by one, the hikers succumbed to a mix of terror and frostbite, their movements becoming sluggish and desperate as they wandered further from the camp. In the chaos, friendship and trust turned into isolation, each man locked in a solitary battle against a presence that defied explanation. When the pale light of dawn finally crept over the horizon, it revealed a scene that was both tragic and inexplicable. The remnants of the campsite lay scattered, a torn tent, abandoned belongings half buried in snow, and, most disturbingly, the footprints of those who had fled into oblivion. The search parties that later combed the area would find bodies in positions that defied natural explanation. Some lay as if they had simply collapsed. Others bore injuries that seemed to have been inflicted by an unseen, brutal force. In several cases, the injuries were not consistent with any known accident or animal attack. They were precise, almost surgical, yet utterly devoid of any rational cause. The chilling silence of the pass was punctuated only by the soft, mournful wind, a lament for souls lost to a horror that would remain shrouded in mystery for decades. The evidence scattered about, the inexplicable state of the bodies, and the haunting impressions left in the snow all hinted at a terror beyond human comprehension. In the aftermath, investigators and locals alike speculated feverishly about the calamity. Official reports offered little solace, suggesting hypotheses that ranged from a catastrophic avalanche to a secret military experiment gone awry. But none of these explanations touched the raw, visceral terror that lingered in the minds of those who had dared traverse the pass. For the villagers living in the shadow of the Urals, the incident became a modern legend, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones by the fireside. They spoke of unnatural lights in the sky, of eerie sounds carried on the wind, and of an ancient spirit awakened by the intrusion of mortal ambition. Some said that the pass was cursed, that it was a threshold between the known world and realms best left unexplored. Others believed that the hikers had unwittingly stumbled into a time-worn ritual, where the veil between life and death, sanity and madness, was perilously thin. Years later, when the wind blows over the frozen slopes and the snow falls silently over the barren landscape, one can almost hear the echoes of those final, desperate cries. The past stands as a monument to the fragility of human endeavor, a reminder that some mysteries are better left uncharted, some forces too powerful to be understood by mortal minds. The Dyatlov Pass incident continues to haunt both the annals of history and the collective psyche of those who seek to unravel its secrets. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world is bathed in the cold light of winter, some claim to see a lone figure trudging along the ridge, a spectral echo of one of those lost souls, forever wandering, searching for answers that will never come. For those who dare to speak its name, the past remains an enigma, a frozen repository of fear and unanswered questions. It is a story of human frailty, of the unyielding might of nature, and of forces that lurk beyond the pale of human understanding. And as long as the wind continues to whisper through the pines, the legacy of that fateful night will endure, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are meant to remain forever unsolved.